All right, guys, I'll show you how to bleed your Honda 2019 Insight brake calipers. I'm actually gonna do a flush. My car's around 75,000 miles, and it's telling me that I need to put some new brake fluid in. So I've got here, this is some Prestone DOT3 brake fluid. There's no real difference between that and the genuine Honda brake fluid. So I'm gonna use this and see how it goes. First things first, I've got the wheel off, 3/4 inch lug nuts, pretty straightforward. And I have a brake bleeder cap, which is this little guy, which is holding onto my brake bleeder valve, which is right here. So I'm gonna grab a wrench and open this up just a little bit. And then I'm going to open the engine and get to the master cylinder. Okay, so I got the hood popped here, and I always forget this, but you actually put your fingers pointing down. You'll feel a little cavity. Slide that off to the side and opens right up. And it looks like here is our master brake cylinder reservoir. So you take off the brake reservoir here, and I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. You can see mine is yucky. Read the cap and it'll tell you DOT3 or DOT4 fluid. So I've got a DOT3 fluid. That's what Advanced Auto recommended, so here I am. All right, so here's the trick. Usually this is a two-person job. One person cracks open the bleeder valve, person in the car puts their foot on the brake. Once they're done, they close it up. What I usually do, use a tube, just like a 1/4 inch or something around that size, and squish that onto this valve here. And then I have a container right here that's clear so I can see all the fluid. And you let this sit up like this. And what that lets you do is leave this valve open while you flush, and you'll never get any air bubbles that'll travel back down into your cylinder. All right, so I've got the car turned on so that it lets the ABS allow brake fluid to flow through it. I've got my handy dandy metric 10mm cheapy wrench. We're gonna crack that open just a little bit. So now that we got that brake bleeder valve open, you can see it's actually opened up. There's a little bit of fluid in there. This is actually nice and clear. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but it's pretty good. It's pretty clear. I'm gonna flush it anyways because, well, I'm here and I got the wheel off, so might as well have it last another 75,000 miles. So let's get started. So there's not exactly a whole lot of science to this, but you basically open your cap, put it somewhere you're not gonna lose it. Open up your brake fluid. You always wanna use a sealed brake fluid because it'll absorb moisture, and then actually not leave this open for too long. A couple minutes won't hurt, but you don't wanna leave it open for, a couple hours. Crack that open and carefully fill this up to the top. It's got a particulate filter on there, so it's not going to let a whole lot of schmutz go through. So I've opened that up, put my cap back on here. You can see that's all the way full, or just about. I'm going to put that on. Actually, I can leave that just a little bit loose to allow some airflow. Open the door, pump the brake. And you can see here, we've got a good bit of fluid that's come up. I'm actually gonna open this up a little bit more just to drain some more out. And our brake fluid level is just a little bit lower. So we're gonna pump this a couple more times. Now, some people believe there's a nice order that you do this, where you start from the back to the front. And absolutely, because it clears the back line first, so don't have any old schmutz hanging around in there. With this car, with this fluid, it doesn't really matter. The other thing to avoid when you're doing this is don't get this brake fluid onto your paint. It's not good for your paint. All right, so you can see we've done a good bit of flushing here, and this is our fluid level. See how there's no air bubbles that can get back down here. I only drained a little bit here. You can see that, just that little bit there. It's not too bad. Like I said, it's not too murky at all. So we're gonna close this up and move on to the next one. So to close this valve up, like I said, you take your handy dandy 10 mil and just carefully give it that tightness. Don't over tighten it because you'll never get them out. Trust me, I've done that before. And be very careful not to strip these because that sucks too. All right, now we're all closed up here. I'm gonna do my best to drain this out carefully, not spill any, and we'll move on to the next wheel. And don't forget to put your caps back on. That's a little better. Sometimes I need two hands. So we got our tube pointing upward, right? That's the important part. I've got it looped through this little eyelet here and into our container. So we're gonna loosen this valve up and start pressing on the brake. Now you really don't have to open these up much. I got mine open just about a quarter turn, and that's about as far as I'll really need to go before it'll start pushing out fluid. And there you can see we're already getting started here. We've got some good fluid back here. Again, this is really clear, good, nice and clear fluid. So this is just kind of a regular maintenance. I'm just doing it because my car told me to. Sometimes people change their fluids every couple of years. I've seen this fluid black like used oil black, and that's when you really need to change it. But this is in great shape. All right, gave this thing about 8,000 pumps here, and we actually have a little bit of cloudiness. You guys may be able to see that there's a little bit of schmutz in there, not a whole lot. This is in decent shape for fluid. So I'm gonna call this wheel done and move on to the other side of the car. So we've got our brake bleeder valve on, pretty good and tight. These don't ever really come loose, and you can actually over tighten them. What I've seen is they'll rust on, and then you can't really get these off. But if you're using the right socket or right wrench, it should be just fine. And there's our cap, all done. On the front passenger side, we're gonna take our handy dandy cap off. These are just little rubber guys. There we go. There's our brake bleeder valve. Put our 10 millimeter over the top. And I'll get my tube on here and we'll loosen it up. Trying this out, we'll see how that goes to keep this bottle upright. Like I said, that's the hardest challenge is getting that bottle to stay upright. There you go, quarter turn. And see all those little air bubbles in there? This tube fell off while I was loosening this, so a little air got in. And this flushing process will make sure that all those bubbles come out. This method seemed to work out pretty well for me, so we're going to try this again. We'll just put the bottle where it wants to be, and we'll get started. It's 4. Take our wrench here, tighten this up. We'll lower this down, let that drain out. And there we go. And that's it. That's how to bleed your brakes or do a brake flush on a 2019 Honda Insight. Thanks for watching. Bye.